Hello and welcome to this special broadcast. We are continuing our coverage of the Bihar Assembly polls. We are now more than from 8 o'clock, so over 3 hours of counting, and the trends are fairly clear that it is going to be NDA, at least as per the leads. Results haven't yet been declared, but we'll shortly put up the latest lead position as per the Election Commission of India site. If we can just put that up, please, Shikha. Yeah, so currently we are taking it directly from the site of the Election Commission of India. BJP is leading on 82 seats. Closely behind is their ally, JDU. RJD has substantially gone down from its 2020 tally. I mean, so far at least, it seems like that. They've really taken the hit. Uh, the real surprise pack of the NDA party is the Lok Jan Shakti Party Ram Vilas. They are contesting only on 29 seats, and they are so far leading on 22, and these leads have held for over 3 hours now. Indian National Congress, 7 seats so far. They haven't yet touched double digit. CPIML, again, they have performed below par in terms of their past performance. And Hindustan Awam Morcha, Jiten Ram Manji's party, leading on 4 seats. So it's been a fascinating election. And to discuss more about it, I am now joined by my colleague, Sobhana K. Nair. Shobna, before and we are also joined by Amit Bhelari, who's there in Patna, who's brought us all those wonderful ground reports from Bihar. Uh, Shobna, one great aspect of this election is how these smaller parties have actually performed so well. Smaller parties within the NDA fold, and the smaller parties which the in the Mahagathbandhan have actually failed to deliver. Parties like Mukesh Sahni's VIP Vikasil Insan Party or IP Gupta's IIP. On the other hand, you look at Chirag Paswan. Chirag Paswan was, in fact, there were questions why was he given 29 seats, but as of now, he's leading on 22, perhaps the best strike rate. Apart from, I mean, it's better than the BJP. BJP contested on 101, and they're leading on 82, and the LJP Ram Vilas contested on 29. They're leading on 22. Break us these figures for us. What do you think has worked for the NDA? What do you think has not worked for the Mahagathbandhan? And the spectacular performance of Chirag Paswan.
Okay, so I'll begin with the NDA. So if you see 29 seats that LJP was given, not all of them were the seats that he had specifically demanded for Chirag Paswan. In fact, 27 of these 29 were with the Mahagathbandhan. So whatever he is bringing to the table is additional seats and thereby increasing the tally of NDA. So, and he had why this result is spectacular for him is also because this is the first time I need to underline, this is the first time that Lok Jan Shakti Party is fighting with JDU. JDU, Nitish Kumar and LJP founder Ramvilas Paswan were not always the best of friends. In fact, for very very long time, they would they didn't really get along, and they both disliked each other equally. And in Nitish Kumar, but it is far more than this. This goes beyond just the personal relationship between the two leaders. Nitish Kumar, when he carved out the Mahadalit constituency, he kept the Paswans out of the Mahadalit, and that created a huge amount of anger in among the Paswan community. And this, in fact, before the elections campaign began, Chirag Paswan was even mulling that he will contest at least once, he himself would be contesting. And several seats were being shortlisted in the Shahabad region. And he had addressed several rallies in that particular region, positioning himself to contest for assembly election. What I have learned is that the BJP themselves told him to stay back, sit out this election, because they did not want to create any additional confusion, which we saw in 2020, and how it clearly endangered the entire alliance. Of course, it hurt JDU more, but it endangered the entire alliance. A matter of few seats here and there, Mahagathbandhan could have been in power in 2020.
Right.
So that is, of course, so for me, him winning 22, leading on 22 seats out of 29, I think it's a spectacular results, which he will be very happy with. Now, in Mahagathbandhan, there are a few things that I do want to underline. Vikashsheel Insan Party, Mukesh Sahani was anointed as the Deputy Chief Ministerial face of the alliance. And the negotiations went on for nights, several nights on end. He kept, and it was full of drama. Mukesh Sahani, who threatened to quit, go back and contest alone, or sometimes he would threaten and quit to join the NDA. And this kind of prolonged negotiations kept going on. At one moment, I've been told that the RJD leader even said that he is not just apolitical, he's anti-political, because he's sort of negotiating like a trader would negotiate. But despite all those misgivings, RJD conceded to give them seats, and not just seats, to give Mukesh Sahni the sort of nominate him as the deputy chief ministerial. But their performance is is far below what was expected from Vikashsheel Insan Party. They were supposed to bring the EBC voters, not just Mukesh Sahni's own caste group, the Malla. It was expected that this impact, especially the announcing him as the deputy CM face of the alliance, would have an impact on Bind, Nishad, and several other smaller EBC groups. Clearly, it has had no impact, as we can clearly see. But
In
what
fact, not
is
only that, Shobna, in fact, not only that the Mahagathbandhan tried to build a rainbow coalition with EBC and other parties. They had, if you recall, they had all these leaders got together in Patna. There was a Congress working committee meeting. Soon after that Congress Working Committee meeting, they had released a charter, a Sankalp Patra for EBC. Have a special law on the lines of prevention of atrocities against scheduled caste and scheduled tribe, a similar law for the EBCs. They had, and a host of other promises made. But clearly, that doesn't seem to have made any impact, as Nitish Kumar and the NDA has retained its hold over the EBC.
But Sandeep, I do want to point out that despite making the right noises, when it came to act on it, the Mahagathbandhan's EBC candidates are far below what the NDA had. So I believe NDA had 39 EBC candidates and Mahagathbandhan has 29 EBC candidates. So they did not, they could have done much better. They just left RJD, for example, outsourced the reach out to EBCs to these smaller parties like VIP and IIP, and that seemed to have hurt them. But what does surprise me more is the CPIML's performance. Last time they had very good strike rate. In fact, they had one of the highest strike rates in Bihar. Out of the 19 seats that they contested on, they won 12. And this time, they were not, despite negotiating, despite their demand, despite their request, RJD wasn't very willing to negotiate with them for too long, and they were told to settle for 20, which is just one more than what they contested last time. And as of now, if the results hold, they're only leading on 7 seats. So I did visit a couple of seats that CPML was contesting, CPML candidates were contesting from, for example, Karakat, sitting the incumbent CPIML MLA there was deeply sort of there was some sort of a chatter against him. There was an anti-incumbency against him. CPML probably would have done better to have replaced its sitting candidates. In fact, Sandeep, if we were counting smaller parties, I guess we'll have to count Congress also in that category, considering their performance this time.
Absolutely. I mean, it's no surprise though, because remember last time around their strike rate was really poor, and that was one of the reasons why seat negotiations went on for a long time. Congress wanted to contest. They thought that Rahul Gandhi's vote Adhikar Yatra had built up the required momentum in favor of the Gathbandhan and the Congress party, and they were actually at one point they were demanding 90 seats, if you recall, and then eventually they settled down below 60, and it was obvious that the party did not really have the organization on the ground to even make those demands. But I think in hindsight, lots of things went wrong. See, you mentioned about ticket distribution. That was one thing. I think there were lots of complaints that came from the ground, from within the Congress. We had seen earlier it was Congress versus the Congress. Let's actually bring in Amit Bhelari on that. I think Amit had
Yeah,
reported.
before you go to
Yeah,
Amit, I just want to point out it is quite embarrassing for the Congress that Kutumba seat, which from where the Congress
Rajesh.
state president Rajesh Ram
Yes,
is contesting, he's
right,
trailing by 5,000 votes. So I
right.
think it
It's
couldn't have been more embarrassing than that.
that actually really gives an indication of the Congress story. Uh, Amit, coming to you, Shobna and I were discussing about how lots of things went wrong, from giving too much importance or actually sort of giving in to the demands of smaller parties like Mukesh Sahni's Vikasil Insan Party, declaring him as the deputy chief ministerial candidate of the Gathbandhan, to naming Tejaswi at the last moment, to also seat distribution. So I'll come to you. We will discuss all of this one by one. But first, I want to take up the issue of ticket distribution or seat candidate selection for the Congress party. We had earlier seen uh, that that there were fights within the Congress. Uh, we saw, I think, there were scenes of violence outside the Patna airport, allegations of tickets being sold. Uh, Congress doesn't seem to have learned its lessons from its previous debacles. What's your understanding?
Yes, Sandeep, you are absolutely right that when the seat distribution among the India bloc was going on, there were so much of chaos because at the last, when the last date of nomination was there, uh, that time also seat distribution was going on. So in fact, it gave a message that the leaders in the India alliance are not intact, and whereas the leaders of the NDA were continuously saying that we are standing united like a Panch Pandavas, and on the other hand, the India bloc leaders are infighting within themselves. So that somewhere has not given a good message among the voters. And of course, you're right that when the seat distribution was going on, there was an allegation on the Congress leaders, especially the Bihar Congress in charge, Krishna Allavaru, that he has sold the ticket of rupees 5 crore each. And this Congress leaders had held a separate press
Well,
conference in Patna, leveling
well,
so many allegations.
Amit, let me just clarify that, without getting very personal, I mean, these allegations actually always come,
Yes,
whenever somebody loses out, whenever somebody who wanted a seat and they don't get the seat, they obviously make these allegations without any substantial proof of money changing hands or big tickets being
yes,
sold out. Well, I think uh, the larger point here is that there were issues with regard to how candidates were selected. There were issues that certain sections of the Congress party who are believed to be very close to the RJD, they were calling the shots, and somehow they didn't get the act together, and Rahul Gandhi's vote adhikar yatra really failed to give them the momentum of Philip that they were expecting. But another issue that I was just going through the social media and I saw an ex post by Congress MP from Virudhunagar from Tamil Nadu, Manikam Tagore, who said that what do you expect if you delete 65 lakh voters in the name of special intensive revision of electoral polls? Obviously, these deletions were aimed to deny, were targeted at opposition voters. Do you think it's a case of, sort of crying sour after you fail to deliver? Do you think that, this is an argument that wouldn't really hold because end of the day, uh, this process has been up for scrutiny. They have been contesting elections. So it was also their duty to ensure that their voters don't get deleted.
yes. So that's Sandeep, that when this SIR started in Bihar, Bihar is the first state where a special intensive revision of the electoral roll was conducted, and there were some. I mean, there were reservations of the India bloc leaders that it is going to delete the genuine voters, but at last this SIR was conducted by the Election Commission of India, and over 65 lakh voters, the voters' names were deleted. Surprisingly, this, Rahul Gandhi, who took out the voter adhikar yatra in Bihar, somewhere did not click in the favor of the bloc leaders. They were expecting that they will get some benefit, as all the India bloc leaders, meet Rahul Gandhi, Teshri Yadav, Dipankar, they all were they all held the road shows in Bihar and showing the unity and speaking against the SIR. But somewhere it seems that the entire this protest and the agitation against the SIR did not work at the ground.
Okay.
Yes, Sandeep.
Thank you, Amit. I think we are now joined by Srinivasan Ramani, uh, the Hindu's deputy national editor. Welcome, Srini, and uh,
Thank you, Sandeep.
so any surprises for you personally? You've actually done some very good ground reports, and before we actually start the discussion, let's have a quick update on the election commission numbers. The leading position right now is BJP is leading on 84 seats. JDU closely behind on 77. RJD seems to have taken a big hit this time. RJD is only leading on 35. Ram Vilas Paswan LJP, Chirag Paswan's party, that is Lok Jan Shakti Party, Ram Vilas, is performing spectacularly, leading on 22 seats. Mind you, they are contesting only on 29 of the 243 seats. CPIML is leading on 7 seats. Indian National Congress is on 5 seats. And Hindustan Awam Morcha, Jiten Ram Majhi's party, is also on 5 seats. So Congress, it's been an abysmal performance for the Congress again. But before we get to Congress's, performance in these elections or Mahagathbandhan, Srini, I actually want to first discuss. You had some very good ground reports on this. How development has reached interior parts of Bihar. There is a sense of development. There are roads and bridges and infrastructure.
Right.
Yet a large majority of the uh, Bihar's population is really poor. So,
Yeah.
in that context, Nitish Kumar, Nitish, in that context, do you think Nitish Kumar's the last minute gamble, as it were, or
Hmm.
SOP, the Mahila Mukhyamantri Mahila Rozgar Yojana, do you think that also played a role majorly?
All these factors. Importantly, before I answer your question, I just wanted to share some numbers, which is quite revealing. I had a look at the vote shares. You just read out the seat shares. I had a look at the vote shares, and look at this. The NDA's vote share in the Lok Sabha election was 48.2% in the Lok Sabha elections held last year. This
Right,
year, the assembly elections vote share is 47.6%, barely zero point 0.5 percentage point difference, right? The
right,
Mahagathbandhan's vote share was 40% in the 2024 Lok Sabha elections. It has fallen by around 3 percentage points to 37%. And whereas the 3% gone to, it mostly gone to the JSP, Jan Swaraj Party, which has got
right,
3.5%. Now, it's not accurate to say that all this 3% exactly went to the JSP and not others, but these preliminary numbers are revealing. It suggests that what was achieved in the 2024 Lok Sabha elections has been maintained. The NDA's coalition has been intact, and uh, uh, it had a structural advantage with the coalition because in the JDU it has a party which has a support, which has the leadership of the Kurmis and support of the Koiris, and also the EBCs and the Mahadalits. The upper castes are firmly with the BJP, and the LJP is also providing a chunk of the Dalit vote. So they have a structural advantage, and that structural advantage helped it romp through in the 2024 Lok Sabha elections. And exactly the same pattern is being followed in the 2025 elections as well. So, where did the opposition try to capitalize, or what did the opposition try to do since 2024? They tried to again frame the question as one of the lack of jobs, the lack of development in Bihar in terms of industries that provided employment and so on. That did not really cut much ice with the voters, because I think the reasons that helped the NDA win in 2024 remain almost intact this time as well. There are two reasons. One, in 2024, you saw, Sandeep, that women voting was much higher in Bihar relative to other
yes,
states, almost like 9 percentage point difference. The same pattern held true this time also. In fact, in absolute numbers, much more women voted than last time around. So clearly, the JDU's strength among women voters, and the NDA's strength rather, because Mr. Modi is also equally popular among women voters. So that strength has been retained, perhaps retained also because of the Mukhyamantri Mahila Rozgar Yojana scheme
Rozgar
that,
Yojana. Yeah.
yeah, which provided rupees 10,000 rupees. That was, I won't say it was a catalyst, but it probably solidified the support that was already there. As regards the opposition, I think the fact that they have a structural disadvantage in the sense that the RJD has a very high floor because of its support among the Yadavs and Muslims, but a lower ceiling because it is not able to go beyond that
The
support base.
The MY combination.
The MY factor. That seems to have limited the RJD's performance. In fact, RJD's vote share, if you see, it has slightly gone up from 2024 Lok Sabha elections. It had 22.6 percentage points last year. Now it has gone up to 22.9 percentage points. It has retained its vote share. It had 23% in 2020. So that 23% is retained by the RJD. Only the Congress has lost even around 1.3 percentage points, and that's because some votes in the Simachal region has gone to the AIMIM, which has actually done better than in 2020. They got 1.2 percentage points in 2020. Now it is 1.6 percentage points. In the Lok Sabha election, they had around 1 percentage point. So what has happened is, while the
So,
concerns of,
can you hold
yeah,
that thought? In Simachal region, in fact, they were the ground reports were suggesting that because of Rahul Gandhi's yatra, the vote
yeah,
Adhikar yatra,
yeah,
the this perception was that this time Congress may actually gain Muslim votes, and the Muslim votes may actually polarize between these
yeah,
two poles, between the
yeah,
JDU-led alliance and RJD-led alliance. But
right.
clearly, Mr. Oasis party has maintained its hold in that region at least, even if it's not seats, but the vote
Yeah.
percentage, in terms of vote percentage, he's maintained that.
So one thing that I noticed when I visited for a brief while a month ago in Bihar was that there was goodwill for Rahul Gandhi, even in places like where the Muslim minority was better concentrated. There was goodwill for Rahul Gandhi, but the consolidation of that goodwill was somewhat lacking in the sense that after the Voter Adhikar Yatra, did the Congress, satraps, leaders, did they campaign well enough to take that message forward to the voters? I suspect not to the extent that they should have. And this was a refrain not just from ordinary voters, but even from Congress leaders themselves. They are themselves
Yes.
saying that we have not enough to. Yeah.
Just before you
That is-
joined, Srini, in fact,
Yeah.
Amit and I were discussing this, that there were allegations of that a section of the Congress leadership in Patna, in Bihar, were very close to RJD, were calling
Right.
the shots. There was not enough intervention from the All India Congress Committee leadership. Ticket distribution was a big problem.
Yes.
So all these problems were flagged much before the elections actually started.
Yeah.
But another aspect that comes to the mind, and I want your thoughts on this, many believed that one reason why Congress was a bit hesitant in declaring a chief ministerial face in the
Yeah.
form of Tejaswi Yadav was that
Yeah.
the moment you declare Tejaswi Yadav as the chief ministerial face, the non-Yadav OBCs move away from the Gadbandhan. So all their efforts to break into the extremely backward classes constituency of Nitish Kumar would
Right.
sort of go away, and their efforts will be nullified. Do you think that would have also played a role? Because end of the day,
True.
Yadav
One could
community.
make an argument that way. Yeah, one could
Sorry.
make an argument that way, but the important point is if the Congress has actually worked hard to win the support of those EBCs or the Dalits in the first place, that they could not afford to lose them. Then only then that question comes in, right? I suspect the Congress has been a party of leaders, a party which has only tried to come up with a message, but it has lacked the organizational strength or the organizational wherewithal, or even the organizational spirit, I would say, to be a bit
On the
critical,
ground.
on the ground to actually get this message to be percolated among the electorate which it was targeting. I suspect that was really not there. And Sandeep, this was a criticism by people before also, before the elections, that after Rahul Gandhi came for the Voter Adhikar Yatra, he was not, he had not been to Bihar until the campaigns really started. Perhaps there was clearly a goodwill for
Very
Mr.
late.
Gandhi.
Actually, he started
Exactly.
his campaign quite late. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, all these calculations that the RJD has a limited vote base, and therefore projecting Tejaswi Yadav might backfire will only hold true if you have actually gained support among those people who have traditionally voted for JDU, right? But I suspect that did not really happen. The Congress was only trying to rely on messaging, and it and it tried to use this SIR process and keeping the ECA as its focal target point. It was trying to use these things to make a mark rather than actually coming up with a real alternative to show that they were gaining the support of sections that were already with the JDU, right? So that did not really happen. So if that was not the case, then why did they hesitate to project Tejaswi Yadav? That was again a mistake. So it was a compounding effect. So I would say that if they really wanted to hedge on naming Mr. Yadav as their the chief minister candidate for the MGP, then they should have worked hard to win the support of a substantial section of people, and then said, look, our new adherents don't want to project you as the chief minister, and then they could have bargained. But without doing that, this did not help the MGP. That's what I feel.
Right.
And
But
as regards Kishanganj and other places where even when I was there, I could notice that the AIM had lost some of the legislators who had won in 2020. They had moved to RJD. So the expectation was that the AIM would not really perform as a spoiler as it did in 2020. But I think in the last few in the run up to the elections, the AMM did manage to garner support, and that boils down to some of the candidate selections, the internal differences among the Muslim community in that area. I think that ultimately came on to play. What the Congress expected by keeping the SIR as the preliminary factor, by saying that Muslims might their names might be deleted and so on, that did not happen, because actually Muslim names were not deleted in higher proportions. There was that fear that we are losing our mandate because of what the BJP is doing, what the ECI is doing, what did not play itself on the ground. And as it happens in other elections, local factors started to predominate, and I think that hurt the Congress.
In fact, just before starting this broadcast, I was just sort of looking at the social media reactions from Congress leaders. Right. One interesting comment that had come from Manikam Tagore, the Lok Sabha member from Virudnagar, is that he blamed the SIR and said that 65 lakh voters were deleted, and most of them were names of 65 lakh voters were deleted, and most of them were, opposition voters. But clearly, this kind of explanation perhaps won't do them very good.
You're right.
As you rightly said, that most reporters who traveled around felt that Congress was really not a factor, and the Rahul Gandhi's vote Adhikar Yatra may have actually come a little bit too early, and his foray into the campaign may have come a bit too late. And it wasn't a good picture, a message that they could send, delay in announcing the seats, the number of the seat sharing, eventually not agreeing. So the latest figure right now as we speak is, these are of course, again, only the leads. BJP leading on 84, JDU on 76, RJD on 34, Lok Jan Shakti Party has come down by 1. Now they are leading on 21. Congress is leading on 7. CPIML on 6. And Hindustan Awam Morcha on 5. Shobna, Srini is here with us. Shobna has also joined. Shobna, both Srini and you have traveled to Bihar and have seen, he just mentioned how what worked well for, essentially his argument is that the NDA has managed to retain its allies, its all the different interest groups, the Jati Samikaran, as they say, intact. And from the 2024 Lok Sabha elections, RJD on its own, its vote share has gone, or it has managed to retain its pocket of strength, but it has not been able to really translate into taking many more other groups to give them a shot at government. What do you think really did not work for them? Both to you, Shobna first, and then Srini can join in.
Yeah, so Sandeep, I think they were very slow to pick the campaign. First of all, this was a very curious selection because the window for campaign was very limited. You had back-to-back Diwali and Chhat, and then the absolutely free days for campaigning was just, I think, less than a fortnight. They had second, they did not have a new message to give. They got distracted by SIR, and they did not pivot away from SIR long before in time, because the Bihar electorate had moved on from SIR at least a month. I mean, by when the Supreme Court judgment came, allowing for Aadhaar cards also to be included as one of the accepted documents, this issue was over for Bihar. This was no longer a thing that animated their politics. It was no longer that issue. But the RJD, the Congress, and everybody took a long while to pivot away from SIR. they did not talk about livelihood issues as much as they should have. When Jivika Didis became the centerpiece of the NDA's campaign, they did not point out that the same Jivika Didis were doing protest a year back. They did not talk about the situation of the expanse of microfinance firms in Bihar. They did not talk about economics and the real issues. Their campaign was not based on livelihood issues. Their campaign was not based on ground issues. It was largely a very academic discussion on SIR, which at that point was reflective of what the electorate was feeling. But they should have quickly also spoken about other things and also reflected on other things. Now, with this, I think is primarily their biggest failure. They were just too laid back. They thought that this was their election to win.
No, even with respect to the SIR, now
Yeah.
Sandeep, you pointed out Manikam Thakur was saying their voters were deleted more. No, that's not being played out in terms of how the turnout happened. If you look at the turnout, Bihar had one of the highest turnouts ever in a long time. And it's not just that the numbers went up because of high deletions, but in absolute numbers, more people came out to vote. I mean, a large number of voters came out to vote. And interestingly, even though the gap between male and female voters in the electorate was 4 million between men and women, that is 40 lakh more men were registered in the rolls in Bihar. 4 lakh women turned out more to vote, right? And we are actually crunching the numbers, and we saw, yeah.
Shrini, I think they've put up latest numbers. There's some the ECI has now again changed the numbers.
Okay. We'll
Yeah,
have a look
so
at
there
that.
is some press release. So I think we should just put a pin on that and come back to it. I think that's a story, developing story.
Understood. So when we take those provisional numbers and we try to look at in constituencies, we had district-wise data. So we looked at all the districts where women voting was much higher and tried to find out whether the gap between the NDA and MGB went up, and it happened. So in places where 53 to 55% of the voting was done by women, the gap between NDA and MGB was around 13%. I have the exact numbers. Let me just push them out for you. So in places where the vote share of the the women vote share was the gap between women vote share and male vote share was highest. The gap went up to almost 14%, right? Where the gap was the narrowest, there the difference was only 9%. So clearly, women voters have voted in much large numbers for the NDA than the MGB, right? So, and it is also true that more women voters have been deleted in the SIR. So to say that only opposition voters have been deleted in the SIR does not hold water, right?
Because many of these women voters are Nitish Kumar voters as well. But Srini, I wanted to ask one question. I mean, you started by saying by giving us an analysis of how RJD has been able to maintain its vote share, at least, both in 2024 elections and their last elections, assembly elections. But if you look at the number of seats, it's a massive hit that they have taken. From being the single largest, am I right, Shobhana? They were the single largest, 78. They were the single largest party for sure.
For a decade. To 2015, they were the single largest. 2020,
so they were actually building on that, and then suddenly it comes down. What explains this? I mean, the vote share remains the same. The number of seats have come down. What explains this drastic drop? They were building on their performance. So is it the X factor in Prashant Kishore who may have eaten into their votes?
No, I think. So I think the RJD, if you take 2015, the RJD was in alliance with the JDU. So because of this strong alliance, they were able to get much more seats with their vote share of 23%. In 2020, the LJP fought against JDU, And therefore, that 6%, the 6% gap actually helped the RJD wherever it was in direct contest against the JDU. This time, the LJP going to the NDA enhanced the vote share of the NDA to 48%. And like what happened in the 2024 elections, exactly the same thing happened. The RJD, despite retaining his vote share, could not convert that into enough seats because the NDA is so strong in terms of its coalition, in terms of its Samikaran. It's so strong that the RJD, with its core vote base, was not able to, overcome that. So at the same time, if you're taking it a bit further to 2005, we can clearly see that the BJP's consolidation of the upper caste vote and the loss of the Congress vote share since then has meant that the BJP has now, just like the RJD depends on the Yadavs and Muslims, the BJP depends heavily on the upper caste, and exit polls are also showing the same data. At least 60 to 65% of the Brahmins, Bhumiyars, Kayas, and Thakurs are supporting the BJP. So they have a solid chunk that is always going to vote for them, just like the RJD has the Yadavs. But what the JDU brings to the game is the support of the EBCs and the other dominant OBCs. So it's a structurally the RJD is not capable to break this. It can only do that if it ferrets away the vote from the EBCs and Dalits, which it tried to do using the jobs promise. But I think that did not that did not sell because people weighed actual welfare measures like the cash distribution or the development that they see on ground versus a promise. So that did not help the RJD. That's what they feel.
I have a question for you, Srini. Yeah. I'm sorry, Sandeep, to interrupt you, but
no,
I have a question. I just wanted to understand. Do you see any shift in any caste group either ways? I mean,
see, if there was a shift in the caste groups, then the Lok Sabha pattern should have changed a bit. It has changed a bit, but that has only taken around 3 percentage points from the MGB, right? So clearly, Jan Suraj Party's campaigns targeting the BJP, targeting the NDA for corruption and other issues, that actually split the anti-incumbency vote. What we had expected was, because of the kind of candidates it was putting up and because of this rhetoric, it will take away votes from the NDA. That did not happen. So the upper caste stayed with the BJP, the EBCs and other OBCs stayed with the JDU, and the Yadavs and Muslims, to the extent that they were with the RJD, still seem to remain with the RJD. But the floating vote which supports the Congress has declined a bit. The floating vote that supported the left. These are voters who are not really using the identity to vote, right? Like the left has the support of the EBCs and Dalits. So these voters have actually gone on to support the Jan Suraj Party, which is what preliminary numbers say. We need to get exit poll or post poll data to parse it even more clearly. But if we compare it with the proximate election, that is 2024, the patterns are almost the same for the NDA. So that's what I see.
But, Srini, cynics would say that actually that may have well be the plan. I mean, you know that many Congress leaders in private had been saying that both Mr. Owaisi and Prashant Kishore actually would help the NDA by splitting or eating into the anti-incumbency vote. And at least the initial lot of data seems to suggest so, that while Owaisi has retained his share in his stronghold, Prashant seems to have made a dent in the Mahagathbandhan vote. But I want to come to now. Go ahead.
One last answer, Sandeep. One last answer. So you can look at it cynically, but the more logical answer is this: that Muslims cannot be taken for granted as a vote bank, right?
Yes.
You can't just tell Muslims just because the BJP is a Hindutva party, you come and vote for me. That is not enough. Like, for example, I went to the Kadwa constituency near Katihar to some of the border villages that abutted West Bengal. And these are villages affected by the Mahananda river floods.
Yes.
the voters were very angry with their incumbent leader because they are saying we are perennially affected by floods, and there is no bridge being built here. There are no banks being built to prevent the flood waters entering the villages. And why should we vote for this person? This is what they were asking the incumbent MLA,
Who was the incumbent MLA?
Shakil
He
Ahmed
was
Khan of the Congress. And
he was
Mr.
from a
Khan,
Congress.
yeah, he's a senior leader. I think he might still
Yeah,
win.
Shakil Ahmed, yeah.
Yeah. I think he last I saw he was leading. But Mr. Khan's rhetoric was not was also tuned to the SIR, the fact that the BJP is calling the Muslims as infiltrators. So that was the rhetoric that he was trying to use in order to get the support of those people, right? So now, I mean, you can't expect everyone to Muslim voters to be only looking at identity as the issue, right? They
And
also
not vote
support
for issues that affect them, and
exactly,
not vote.
exactly. So the
Exactly.
AIMM tapped into these things, right? The AIMM was saying that the RJD is using you as a vote bank. So AIMM leader Akhtarul Imam, when I interviewed him, his key concern was, look, the Muslims vote with their feet for the RJD, but do they get representation? They are not represented adequately enough. So that is the reason why I am in the AIMM. His rhetoric and his ideological stances mirrored that of Congress leader and RJD leader, but he's in the AIMM and he's also the state secretary of the AIMM. And that's something that perplexed me. How is this man here? But he kept on saying that, look, you are using us as a vote bank. What about the issues that concern us? We want, an AIMS here in Kishanganj. We want a district hospital here. We want a university here. We want an AMU campus here. None of this is happening, and none of these issues are being promoted by the RJD leaders or the Congress leaders enough. So that was their, key refrain. And even if there is, not even if that is rhetorical, even if Congress leaders are actually demanding this or not getting it, there are some sections of Muslim voters who are thinking that the AMM probably has, something to. There is some rationale to it, and same holds true for people who voted for Jan Suraj Party. Jan Suraj Party actually lifted some issues which are not, taken up in the mainstream. They talked about how prohibition was resulting in. Addiction, drug addiction, and they took a bold stand saying against prohibition, right? What's the MPP talking about? They're saying how this is affecting people. They were talking about jobs in terms of bringing investment, and so these things must have made some voters who are upset with the government to choose the JSP over the MJB, right? So like
Srini, Mahagathbandhan's manifesto did talk about a relook at prohibition, and they had talked about allowing toddy. But you're right, because see, given the fact that it's a sensitive issue, it was not really a campaign issue, and not everybody reads the fine print of a manifesto.
Exactly.
Whereas in the case of Jan Suraj Party, there were talking points at every rally, at every Nukkar Sabha. Or well, I want to now come to the leadership issue, Srini. It's interesting. I mean, I think all of us would agree that at least for now, Nitish Kumar will be Chief Minister, even if they are a little behind the BJP, considering the fact that in 2020 they were substantially below the BJP, and yet he became the Chief Minister. He would continue to do so. There are two issues here. One is about his health. But before that, I also want both of you to actually reflect upon this question. After Sushil Modi, BJP that has so far seems to be, heading towards becoming the single largest party. They do not really have a tall leader, Samrat Chaudhary is really not a match on Mr. Sushil Kumar Modi. Though they have many other leaders, Giriraj Singh, Ravi Shankar Prasad here as Lok Sabha member, but they don't really have a chief ministerial face. Srini?
Yeah.
What do you?
Yeah, but that was the case in Madhya Pradesh. That was also the case in Rajasthan to some extent, and even in Haryana. Before the current chief minister really became a force, I don't think they really protected him. So for the BJP, the mascots continue to remain Mr. Modi, and the work done by the RSS on the ground, and the popularity of Modi. So that seems to be the game, and that has worked well. So.
In this case, though, it was Nitish's face that led the alliance into elections. Yeah,
I think they'll
Shobna,
still
your
continue
thoughts?
with Nitish. Yeah. I think they'll continue with Nitish because Mr. Nitish Kumar's popularity is what is driving the EBCs to continue to support him, and that's a
Absolutely.
huge chunk of vote. Mr. Nitish Kumar on his own will not be able to win any election, the 18% of the vote, but he is the
Yeah,
game changer. That 18.5% is so still intact with him, for
yeah,
all criticisms of his health or his, wavering alliance tendencies. The fact that
yeah.
the EBC vote is still so strongly with him will make the
Yes,
BJP think twice to do what they did to Eknath Shinde in Maharashtra.
right. Shobna, what are your thoughts on this leadership vacuum for the BJP? They've done very well, and as Srini said, and we've every election that I have covered, you have covered, we see that Mr. Modi continues to be the mascot for the party. He is the most popular face in every election, uh, or in every state actually, in most of the states. But Bihar is a little different. They went into the election with Nitish as the face, but should a situation arise where BJP were to choose its own leader, they really don't have a credible face.
They don't. They absolutely not don't. In fact, one of the things that I heard in the field was that the present leadership of this of BJP is uh, is very unpopular, and there is a lot of anger against them. A lot of failures of the Nitish government are also pinned on the BJP. So. Of course, as Srini just pointed out, that BJP's vote share has not uh, drastically gone up. It is a marginal
No, no.
increase. They've basically stayed up. I mean, in comparison to the 2020 election, they had about 19% vote share back in 2020, and now it is about 21%. So it's not a very drastic shift. If at all, if there is anybody who has won this election, it is Nitish Kumar. Because if you were to compare from 2020, it is a huge jump. It is a very significant jump, showing that he was he's still in power. And I believe that even the votes that BJP and the smaller allies in the NDA got were largely because of Nitish Kumar, and to a huge extent because of the Mahila Mukhyamantri Mahila Rozgar Yojana, which did, because if you put 10,000 rupees in somebody's pocket, just that makes a huge difference, because their monthly incomes are far below than
Yeah,
that. Now, as far as BJP is concerned, before the results were out, there was speculation that a lot of its senior ministers would not be able to retain their seats. And I'm sure Amit will be able to tell us better whether what is happening with many of them. Vijay Chaudhary, I was told, was in a precarious situation from Lakhisarai, and about half a dozen of their ministers were in trouble.
yeah.
BJP will have to rethink, because also Sushil and Nitish Kumar's personal equation was one of legends. They worked in sync. They were always locked. I mean, they were like twins from
Joined at the
just
hip.
belonging to two different parties. And
Yes.
in terms of their behavior, in terms of their administrative skills, everything. And I don't think since Modi's exit from Bihar politics, and after his death, especially, Nitish Kumar has not found a sort of anybody in BJP that he is comfortable working with as much as he was with Sushil Modi.
Right. Amit, over to you. As Shobna was mentioning, give us an update of some upsets or some any giant killer emerging. BJP, how are the BJP ministers faring? Give us an update from the ground.
Well, Sandeep, most of the BJP leaders at at present are leading. Uh, I mean, some time back, Tejasvi Yadav was trailing from Raghupur, but now, as I see on the ECI website, he is now leading from Raghupur. And this another this Mahua seat, where Tej Pratap is is contesting the election. He is also trailing. He is also trailing as of now. Uh, so most of the most of the ministers, as I said, that they are leading from their own, respective assembly constituencies.
Okay. Amit, are you anywhere near? Are you anywhere near the Rashtriya Janata Dal party office? If
I
yes,
am
yeah.
I am standing at the JD office where this celebration was going on.
Okay.
Yes, they were using gulal, putting on each other's face. Celebration has already started, and sweet distribution was going on some time back, and they were playing drums. They were expressing their happiness, and saying that Nitish Kumar has once again done wonder, and they also believe that this rupees 10,000 has played a important role in the victory. Seems to be the he seems to be the victory of the NDA. But
Right.
most of the, as I see the website of the Election Commission of India, in most of the assembly seats, there are around 30 rounds of counting, 27 rounds of counting, and so far they have completed 7 or 8 or somewhere even 3 rounds. So still we have some time to, I mean, because ECI has not declared any winning seats so far. Still, this trend is showing.
Right, right. So, I mean, clearly, Nitish was the meta narrative here. Uh, for once, I would say, Srini, that the exit polls, at least directionally, they were all correct.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So generally, the direction is always, if all exit polls point towards one direction, then that's what generally tends to be the result. The exit polls only try to get the extent of seats wrong because they go wrong in converting vote share to seat shares, or they overemphasize the conversion from vote share to seat shares.
So that was
But
not the
yes,
case in Haryana. In Haryana directionally, almost
yeah,
all
yeah,
polls had given a Congress emphatic Congress victory.
correct.
That wasn't the
You're right.
case. Yeah.
You're right.
But
So
Sandeep, I heard somewhere that in case of Bihar, exit polls get it 70% times they get it right. So maybe it's
right.
just that
Yes,
the
I read that.
Biharis
Yes.
speak their mind.
Yeah, they speak their mind, and I think, and I mean, as I say that they're the most politically aware state. Everybody actually is only when you visit the state, they're very keen to talk about their political views,
Yeah.
and they don't shy away. They may not tell you who they are going to vote for, but they may not give away your voting preference. But in many ways, they do give away when they speak of issues, how it has affected them, or as Srini was saying, for example, he went to the constituency of Shakil Ahmed Khan, who's a senior leader. But his constituents quite clearly expressed their unhappiness over issues that matter them more than their larger identity. Thank you all very much. That's what we have time for. You know, it's been a fascinating discussion for an hour now. Before we wrap up, here's the latest lead. BJP is leading on 85 seats right now. JDU is leading on, these are all leads. I would like to tell our viewers, these are all leads. Uh, through the day, we will keep getting you these video updates. Srini will be there. So BJP is leading on 85 seats. JDU is leading on 78. Taking a massive hit, Rashtriya Janata Dal, Tejaswi Yadav's party is at 32. LJP has more or less held on to its lead. They're leading on 21 seats. CPIML is leading on 6. Indian National Congress on 5, and Jiten Ram Manji's Hindustan Awam Morcha on 5 seats. That's all we have time for. Thank you all very much for joining us. And for more such updates, keep watching the Hindu YouTube channel. That's all from me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.